Okay, tonight we're going to do just a little more on the basics of Ability X ratings, and I think I'm drawing my racetracks a little bit better. And at the top we have the handicapping is already done, something I like to keep repeating over and over and over. I realize I've got a big reflection up here. Probably just looks like a big white spot of light, and I'm going to fix that. I'm going to get a bulb turned around or facing the other way or whatever, but it tends to show up on the camera real bad. But as I understand it, we can see our track real good, even in spite of that. So, to expand a little bit on the basics of Ability X ratings, last time I think I pointed out that the variant that everybody is so highly concerned about actually exists here in this run-up area, and that's where it's found, and it's there to keep everybody confused and mess up time and everything, and it does a really good job because nobody really understands that it's there, and that's what it's for, and that's what it does. So that is why times are always different, and as soon as it gets arbitrarily assigned to the track surface or different surface, or the horse likes grass, the horse doesn't like dirt, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, as soon as it gets transferred to something like that and those assumptions are made, then the ability of the horse is obscured, and that's what the racetracks are trying to do, and that's what they do a very good job of. But the advantage is when it's not obscure to you what the horse's ability is, and then it's you and the racetrack knowing, or at least having a good grip on the horse's ability. I don't know. A lot of times you can get to where you might know a little better than the racetracks do, but they have the upper hand on the public, and what we want to do is we want to have the upper hand right along with them on the public. So the public likes speed ratings and track variance and third race after a layoff and all that kind of stuff everybody keeps putting out, and the public eats it up. And when I say public, I mean handicappers, and when I hear handicappers, I think public at large, more or less. I love it when public handicappers and newspaper handicappers and media type handicappers talk about the public, because they are just as much the public as anybody else. But a lot of them are there just to steer people in the wrong direction anyway, so maybe in some cases they're not. But with Ability X ratings, what we have is we have a good measure of ability and a good measure from the gate all the way around the track to the finish line, right there. And we have a good accurate measure of it, and the number does reflect the horse's run. We understand that, and we've seen that, we've worked with it, we know the nuances of it, and the nuances of it are the high number, and usually, not always, but usually that is at lower early speed. Sometimes it's a higher early speed, but we can usually get in line with that as we look at the races, review results, and get a feel for what kind of running the horses do at a particular class at a particular track. So the other kind of run that we see a lot of is we see lower numbers, and most of those we see at either par or higher ES, early speed. And when I try not to use the word speed all by itself, I'm sure I do once in a while, but when I say speed or talk about speed, I'm talking about early speed, because to me that's really the only kind of speed there is, really. And early speed, I've got this configuration for about a 6 furlong race, track-wise. Early speed at 6 furlongs will usually go about to here. You know, normally most any horse can run full out very fast, even with a fat man sitting on him, for about a half mile. Beyond that, they need to either conserve some energy in that half mile, but I mean just crazy run as fast as they can. It's about a half mile. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less from horse to horse, but in general, about a half mile. So to even make 6 furlongs, we've got to do a little bit of rating. And once we get a half mile, maybe somewhere in here, then we've got to make 2 more furlongs, 2/8, a quarter of a mile, with some energy if we're trying to win races. So early speed is the indicator of whether or not a horse is going to run with energy for the rest of the race. Too much early speed and the horse is done early and doesn't have any energy to run through this area. So low early speed, you know that, well, if the horse was even lower than average in early speed, he should have plenty of energy to get rolling and maybe do some serious running there in the last half of the race. And we've seen both those kind of numbers. We've seen them in action. We've compared them to each other. We've found, started into pairs and everything, so we've seen how pairs operate with each other. But the lower numbers usually account for good numbers a little more than higher numbers, but every distance has some higher numbers that are also good numbers. But when I talk about speed, it's early speed. When handicappers and people who bet on horses talk about speed in general, it's just full out, all you know, full tilt boogie speed, fast as you can, as far as you can, and usually this is where they have and are operating from a poor concept of speed, because even at a 5 furlong race, there needs to be some rating. Not much, but some. And 6 and farther and farther and farther, a horse needs to rate a little bit. And you see that very consistently horses that run at par early speed or just a little bit higher seem to win very frequently. So that is what you see there and what you learn. And overall, what you find is that as bettors, we're not looking for the fastest horse. We're not looking for the best horse. And as bettors, what we want to do is we want to resist as much as we can this temptation to compare horses one to the other and try to pick the best horse, trying to pick the winner of this race. We want to try to avoid that, and we want to try to change that mindset to, I want to find a horse that will run well and that I'm sure and reasonably confident, pretty sure, and have confidence that this horse will run well, and that's based on past performance and my experience, and I want to bet a horse that I really can see is going to run well today. That's the horse I want to bet my money on. Whether it's win, place, show, or if I want to put that horse in exotics, I want to center it and have it revolve around horses that are going to run well today. Not necessarily the best horse, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, who knows? With all the stuff you have in a horse's record and all the similar records you have this many similar records, you have bad records, you have records that are very positive, records that are negative. But who can tell who the best horse is? Nobody. And the handicappers can't either. That's why, for all the talk, they talk and jibber jabber about the race and the upcoming race and the stakes race and this horse and that horse. It all comes down to, well, he's been running pretty well lately, so I'll bet him, you know. But that's about it. That's about all there is to it. And that is why I say the handicapping is already done. What we're doing is we're trying to go farther and take it into that zone of, I want to find a good bet. I'm not comparing horses, and I'm not concerned who the best horse is, really. Couldn't care less. Best horse, not so good. Well, you know, there's 5 contenders pretty much in every race, and I just want to find the one that will run well today and is the better bet. Higher odds or more certainty that it'll run well, one or the other. Give me something. I'm betting my money, and I want to get a return. I don't want to just willy-nilly play, you know, throw my money around. It's serious business. I want to put my money where it'll do me some good and it'll come back to me. And especially, I really like it to come back to me about 10 to 1, 8 to 1, 7 to 1, something like that. 15 to 1, 20. That's how I'd like it to come back. I mean, sure, I can get it back at 1 to 1 and 2 to 1, but that's no fun. And it's stressful. So, to cut the stress, we want to bet on horses that we feel confident are going to run well. Now, the numbers help us out immensely with that. And as we see the same numbers over and over winning races at the same track, the good numbers, I mean, we get even more confident. But what we're going to do when we go to Turfway, we're going to keep in mind that we're looking for good bets, not necessarily the best horse. If it's the best horse, fine. And if we can get some odds on that best horse, that's even better. But it doesn't have to be the best horse. Just give me a good horse that's in condition today that I feel like is going to run today. And he probably didn't run that well last race either. That's the other thing with past performances. Handicappers are looking for what has already happened. The horse ran well last week. Well, okay, probably not going to run too well this week. The thing about past performances is what will happen today will be somewhat different almost every time. Somewhat. Maybe not much different, and maybe totally different. But usually it'll be somewhat different, most of the time, in a higher percentage. So, and this is what I want you to see in that third morning line choice. Hey, we're just looking at the third morning line choice day after day. I mean, that's all that horse has got. Third morning line choice. That's it. Boop, a consistent winner. But its record's always the same. Not quite ready yet is how the handicappers see that horse. But 2, 3 winners a day. Some tracks maybe 1 and then 2 here and there. But at Saratoga we had 2, 3 a day. Like clockwork, just like waves hitting the beach. That's the kind of horse we want to bet on. That's the kind of horse I want to find, and the kind of horse I want to see, and the kind of horse I want to confidently bet my money on, because I know even if it's only 2, 3 out of 10, if it's 10 to 1, I'm way ahead. If it's 8 to 1, I'm way ahead. So even if it's just 5 to 1 with a little progression on my betting, sensible progression, I'm way ahead. So that's the one I'm looking for, and that's what I'm looking for in general. So when we get Turfway very soon, we're going to look at more common horses. We're going to look at probably a lot of the same numbers. I think in the shorter races at Turfway we'll see a little bit higher numbers than what we did at Saratoga and Del Mar. We saw a lot of 270s and 6 furlongs at Del Mar, Saratoga, 260s, 280s. But I think when we get to Turfway, it'll be back up 300 to 320, and even maybe 340, and you know, we might have some as high as 360 here and there. We'll see that. But we'll see a little more everyday racing, and we'll see how that rhythm of the horse that appears not quite ready yet in past performances to the handicappers is ready today. And we see it in Ability X ratings. And at Turfway, we're going to look at how to see it and in Ability X ratings and add a little physicality to it. If we're able to watch the video feed or we're at the track, we're able to look at the horse physically, we're going to go into a little bit of what to look for, what shows, what a horse in good condition does look like, what they do before the race and the warm-ups, and then how to correlate the information we have with Ability X ratings, a little physicality, the tote board, everything else, and how to analyze that situation and have it, all of that come into, here's a good bet. And hopefully you've already got that happening to some extent with what you are doing, that, hey, here's a good bet, and I know it, there it is, bang, I'm betting. And I'm confident about it, and I'm winning a good percentage. So we want to increase the little clues to that. And as we do it every day, we'll get better at it and gain some experience, but we want to add a little bit to our portfolio of indicators. We've already got the best indicator as far as the single factor ability of the horse to run. If we're understanding that number, and we'll expand on that with how the rating is made. I'll set you up with that probably during this Turfway meeting and get you going on that. So then you can see how early speed is actually connected to that finishing run and the number itself, and how each of them go up and down, back and forth. The number goes up as the ES goes up. But sometimes when the number goes up and the ES goes down, you see that as a power runner, but actually what you'll see is the two are connected and go up and down, with a certain connection between them. And that's at 20 points in general that you adjust for as you go up and down in early speed. But there's that connection. So the numbers give you ability, and they do it real well. So as you've been practicing comparing abilities of the horses in the race and knowing the general ability you want for a winner, you're probably finding consistency. I know that we have consistencies happening every day, just in the simple pick and the key horse. And those two are strictly mechanical picks, but they are to demonstrate that there are the races where early speed is more dominant. There are the races where stamina is more dominant. And sometimes both those horses switch places in any given race today. So they also indicate what we might expect today as far as adjustments and changes. The simple pick might be the horse that gets the early speed under control today, wins big, unexpectedly, bang, we got a great payoff. The key horse might be the change that takes place today, gets up in there, instead of starting in the back like it did last time, because that was a workout. We just wanted to see how the horse ran in this class and this distance. So, okay, now we're going to get him up in there, and boom, we got a winner there for 50 bucks, or 40, or 20, or 90. So both of them, although they're mechanical picks, they're consistent, and you can see that they represent that form turnaround. So they're always there to show us that and demonstrate that, and always, along with the third morning line pick, that is all to demonstrate that no matter what you do yourself, the same things will keep happening. So the lesson is, don't get too caught up in trying to pick the winner. Don't get into that game too much. I mean, it's easy enough to just fall into a little bit, but, you know, sometimes you turn around and you realize, oh my God, you know, I'm doing this all day long, every day. I'm trying to figure out who's going to win. And it's like you got to back off, get back to the basics, and understand that consistencies are going to roll in for you no matter what you do, unless you're going a little too far trying to figure out the winner. Because as you do that, you're always going to be wrong, wrong, wrong. So that's what the racetracks want everybody doing. So you got to try it at that point. If you realize you're into that a little too heavy, just back it off and try to get back to doing what the racetracks are doing. We lined up this race. Here's the abilities. You know, we've got these contenders. Here's the ones that are really likely to win on ability, and if they're in good condition today, well, that likelihood goes up, regardless of how the public's betting. And we've seen, I know I've been pointing out, the ones that odds are going up, what the handicappers are ignoring. So you're seeing that. So it's that's another little wrinkle. You can just bet against the handicapper. Just take the opposite point of view. Whatever the handicapper likes, I'm going to bet the opposite of it, almost. I mean, you know, whatever the handicapper's not betting. Handicapper's ignoring a horse, I'm going to go run and put some money on it. And we've seen where that horse is a consistent winner also. So, you know, that the whole thing there is to demonstrate daily that don't get too caught up in trying to figure out everything and trying to figure out who's going to win, which one is the better horse. Try not to get caught up in that. And when, you know, everybody does it, you know, as I say that, I do it too. But when I realized, hey, I'm getting sucked into that deal, I'm able to just back right off now and go, wait a minute, you know, here, I'm going to start betting a composite rating for a little while. You know, hey, somebody's, ooh, that's right on the par composite, I'm going to bet that horse, you know, and get out of that thing of trying to figure out the winner. So, you know, as you become aware of it, it's much easier to catch yourself, and it's easy to fall into. And pretty much everybody falls into that. But it's like, you know, it takes a little practice, and then you just don't get sucked in anymore. I haven't been sucked in for about a year and a half, maybe. But, you know, the last lesson where I did get sucked in a couple years ago, I really realized that I was prone to do that, so I've been really watching out lately, and I've been doing pretty well at just not getting sucked into that deal. So, I'm going to wrap this up, upload it, get it sent to you, and we'll get started on Turfway tomorrow, and over the weekend, I'll get probably the first couple recaps to you, and I'll try to do a part 3 here on the rating basics and moving into pairs and into exactas. And into exotic betting. So I'll probably work on that one this weekend and hopefully get it to you soon in the first part of the week. So thank you very much for checking out the video, and hopefully I'll get even better on the graphics maybe, and I'll do something with this bulb of light up here at the top. So hopefully we'll have that done with next time. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I'd just like to make a couple of points fairly quick about the Keeneland opener for 2018 on Friday, October 5th. And in particular, I'd like to mention just a couple of highlights, but in particular, one of the many ways that Ability X ratings works for people, not form handicappers so much, since they're kind of screwed up with velocity quotients and track biases and all that kind of stuff. track propulsion theory, speed ratings, and such. But anyway, we can take a look at the first race here, which is a 1.16 on the turf. And we might notice that it was won by the Ability X rating simple pick, a 113 run rating and 90 early speed. And the horse that came in second was a run rating of 87 and early speed rating of 87. And those two combined for a $1 exacta that paid $266.20. And then the second race of the simple pick wins that one also. 6-1 morning line, bet down to 2-1, close to 5-2. But anyway, as we go through the card, you don't need to pay much attention to the sixth race here, where there were two pairs of horses, the 6 and the 1, and then the 3 and the 2. The 3 and the 2, 178 run rating for the 2, 173 run rating for the 3, and some people that have experience with Ability X ratings may remember that the par originally that was set at Keeneland back in 2009, I believe, was 175 for the 7 furlong distance. But we don't need to pay any attention to that, because I mean, who's gonna bet a pick 5? Okay, with the two pairs, 6-1 and at the new par, and then go ahead and put in the pair at the old par too. I mean, who's going to do that? Even though the simple pick wins the 7th race, and that is one of a match pair with number 8, and number 5's also in the bunch that came in second. Then the Phoenix Stakes, which was a simple and key horse exacta. Then the Darley Alcibiades, which of course the usual winner would have a rating around 62, like this simple pick, or 67 like this key horse, and possibly even the 62 for number 14, but it was won for the 4th time by Kenny McPeak, and he brought the favorite, which was a 36, the lowest Ability X rating, 94. And of course, anyone that has some experience with Ability X ratings may have put the 6, the 3, and the 14, or the 3, 14, and 8 into the pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. 3 horses. And those 3 horses would be the slow, medium, and fast at a particular ability rating. But why look at that? That's just old stuff out of Winning the Pick 3 that was written in 2008. Still very effective, still works great. But why go over old stuff? But anyway, what we really want to do is, having the first race in mind, take a look at the 10th race. And some people might notice that the winner here, number 12, that paid $110, was the Ability X rating key horse, but the run rating 114. The favorite, number 8, who was the Ability X ratings simple pick, at 2-1, that run rating was 89.95. Now, some people might think that's pretty similar to the horses that came in first in the first race. But that's just a few people, and they can be pretty much regarded as maniacs because they're going by Ability X ratings, the accurate rating of ability for today's race. So, ask any form handicapper and they'll tell you that just can't be right. And never mind the $1 exact of 198.90 for this key simple exacta, or that the number 7 at 116 run rating you might pretty well add in for your pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 also. You'd want to put all 3 of those in there for that. And that made a trifecta, $1 trifecta of $1,133.40, $2 pick 3 for those 3 races, $793.20, $2 pick 3, $2 pick 4, $12,310, but who's paying any attention to that? And $2 pick 5, $113,815.60 for something that could easily be bet 3 by 3. But, that's way too expensive for ordinary people. You have to be, a rich horse racing guy, a big, deep pockets better to bet that kind of money, because it would be 3 times 3, that's 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, times 3 is like $243. And then you'd have to double that to do it at the $2 level, and 3 by 3. So, heck, you'd get up close to $500 for a bet like that. And of course, regular people couldn't figure out, hey, let's 5 of us go in on it. Nah. Anyway, but I wanted to point those out as the highlights of the day. And then there's just another little bell ringer type deal over here, which is interesting because the Breeders' Cup's coming up. The Phoenix Stakes, where we did notice the same old number that's been winning 6 furlong stakes races around the country lately is in there as one of the favorites. And the primary favorite, a 216 run rating, 98 early speed, who actually wins the race for a simple key exacta. But, handicappers probably wouldn't notice this at all, but the few people that use Ability X ratings, they might notice that 216 rating for number 1, after noticing the 228 rating, which is what everybody's been winning with here lately in an average stakes race like the Phoenix. But number 1 at 216 gets fairly reminiscent. Oh yeah, here is what we want to look at. Dancing in Silks, the Breeders' Cup Sprint Champion of 2009, was the first official Ability X rating simple pick to win a BC championship. The run rating of 213 has been proven to be a benchmark for the measure of sprint champions since. And there you see it. Run rating 213, early speed down there at 97. Dancing in Silks wins the race, sticks that whole head out there in front, pays 52.60. And the Breeders' Cup's coming up, so some people might want to start paying attention to that. The bell is usually rung for an Ability X ratings user, because these kind of things are memorable, just like the ratings for those winners on the Friday card here at Caneland. But handicappers, not so much. So just wanted to point those things out and let everybody know that while Ability X Ratings has been around for 10 years, accurately rating the ability of horses for today's race for anybody, there's some that take advantage, and of course the handicappers figure that just can't be right. So, which is fine. It's great, fantastic. It works out very well for the people that use Ability X Ratings. And hopefully, you can, we'll have some more for you coming very, very soon. And I'd like to say thank you very much for your kind attention and indulging. And of course, I'd like to thank all the farm handicappers for their devotion to a format that really doesn't work very well for anybody that wants to win at horse racing. But, we love it. So, see you next time. Thanks a lot.